Good morning, everybody. My name is Carlos Escapa, the guy up here. I'm accompanied by my colleagues Laura Jones and Cameron Perron and a few others of AWS. I made this presentation actually last year, and I like to claim that it is the least technical presentation at the O'Reilly AI conference. Something that we're learning more and more as we apply AI. There's a lot of talk these days about bias, for instance. Okay? This has to do with the fact that the models are an imperfect description of what happens in the real world out there. And I like to use as an example the trajectory that we have taken in humanity in applying mathematics to explain what we observe out there. And it goes back to the Middle Ages, actually. The scientific method started in Cairo, actually. This gentleman was born in Basrah. He's not well known in the West. His name is Ibn al-Haytham. And I know of him, actually, because many of his books were translated in Spain, which is my native country. But somehow he has been a little forgotten. He's at the stature of Einstein or Newton, I would say, in terms of the revolution that he brought about. He was the first person who said that in order to acquire knowledge, you have to make observations, you have to come up with hypotheses that explain the observations, and then give it to somebody else for them to test it. Now, what we do in machine learning is actually generate these hypotheses automatically. We have come up with ways that we take data, we formulate hypotheses, we test them automatically, thousands, millions, billions of times. And then we progressively refine a mathematical model that explains the data. That is really what we do. And we can accelerate this process. At this time, Ibn al-Haytham, Roger Moore, Galileo, Descartes actually perfected the model of acquiring scientific knowledge. And now 500 years later, we have been able to automate all of the mathematics that used to take hundreds of years. And a very specific example is with astronomy. So for hundreds of years, astronomers collected in tables information about the planets as they saw them every night across the sky. These are called the Rudolphi tables that were put together by Tycho Brahe. And here, every day, what we are recording here is the coordinates in the sky. These coordinates are, just to let you know, they're known as right ascension and declination, because you don't have a Cartesian coordinates, right? And we try to figure out the movement of the planets around the Earth and come up with models. You probably know about the Ptolemaic model that survived for quite a long time. Ibn al-Haytham was actually the first person that crashed that model. He said, dogma doesn't work. If you cannot come up with evidence and with data, I don't believe it. And this is actually what prompted the Golden Age during the Islamic Empire, actually the Abbasid Empire, to be precise, in West Asia. So think about the fact that because we're measuring these angles, it was really difficult to understand the movement of the planets and whether the Earth was at the center or the Sun was at the center. What Kepler did is come up with a way of looking at these coordinates differently, which is he extricated himself from the plane, or rather from the Earth, and tried to look at this from a different perspective. And he found that the planet Mars was actually orbiting in an elliptic around the Sun. And this actually is how he was able to explain these angles here in the sky. Now he changed that into something that looked like ax squared plus by squared equals c. Do you remember your ellipses from middle school? And now we call that now feature engineering, right? The consumers, because there were not a lot of examples here for consumers. The answer is absolutely yes. I was asked to make the presentation today focused on enterprise uses. Yeah. One more question. Okay, I'm going to leave you with a quote from my favorite scientist. The duty of a man who investigates is to make himself an enemy of all that he reads and applying his mind to the core, attack it from every side. He should also suspect himself as he performs his critical examination of it so that he may avoid falling into either bias or leniency. 11th century, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that I really counsel everybody. Be careful with your models. They're all wrong. Thank you very much.